So we're starting off with Steampunk 101. We're here with Mad Raven Productions, Steam Chest, and Threnody. Yeah, Threnody, the radio show. And I'll start off. I'm Jack Von Wolf.
I'm Nick.
I'm Epitaph.
Je suis Lex, and this is Jonathan.
So what is steampunk? And people ask it all the time. My definition, because everybody just words it differently, is it's neoclassical Victorian era style with Jules Verne technology.
My favorite way that's ever been worded to me, it's the futuristic style of the past that never was.
So it's all a little different, and it means something different to everybody, so that's one reason it's so fluid between everyone. My version of my world is different than his world, and then his world, and then her world, and Jim's entire setup of multiverse world of all of our worlds put into one big world so we can all coexist together.
In short, you're never really wrong.
No, you're never wrong. You're not always right depending on what world you're in. So technology that pushes your airship here may not work in this world.
There's been My Little Pony steampunk universes.
We don't talk about that one. We do not mention that one. But that also brings in the fact that we have like the Star Wars steampunk. And that exists in the real in our real world, is we can actually go to that universe and we can interact with those people. So when we can come to conventions like this, we call it Genesis, where everything comes from this one real this world here, and our dreams and our nightmares actually create the multiverse as it is. So depending if your storyline is more dark and evil, it's more in the horror realm, and then we have alternate history realm, and we have the dream realm. So your world and however your character is has a place. And if you want your world on the map, talk to Jim. And then he'll sell you a map.
Yeah, also.
with your world on it, and then he has to update it, and we all have to buy the damn map again.
Yeah.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle. But we actually do have people roll in with their map, like start drawing in things that have changed. And I think those are actually more personal maps.
Yeah.
Those are great. Anyone can join a steampunk.
It could be like your own era and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, like
Anyone can be a steampunk, anybody can make a steampunk. It's all about what your world is. I think my favorite thing that somebody told me, I don't know if you know Captain Robert of Abbey Park. He is the lead singer of one of the biggest steampunk bands in existence. And a very, very drunken rant. He was falling over himself drunk and had very, very, very much drunk. And he turns to the person next to him and he says, "You know that about steampunk? Mario can be steampunk. I love the Princess Toadstool and Mario and Sonic the Hedgehog, and it doesn't matter. Everybody can be steampunk. Nobody is wrong."
I've actually seen a group of people doing a Mario steampunk group. It was really great seeing, Princess Peach in this huge Victorian gown, and Bowser, with this green tux and slicked back red hair. It was just absolutely fantastic.
So it's pretty much just your own imagination.
It really is. It really is.
That's where we roll into the fact of like costuming. Costuming is becomes your life for a while until you figure out how your character works.
Yeah.
You never really stop. It just always constantly evolves. Like I found pictures of myself when I went from Renaissance to steampunk. I kind of started off as a pirate and Renaissance festival. So I rolled slowly into becoming a gunslinger, underground mobster as my character over time. And so when people ask you, "So what are you?" or "Who are you?" and I'm like, that's a complicated question. Do you want a long dissertation, or do you want me to just basically say I am a Western steampunk dude, a gunslinger? Yeah. So it goes really complicated. And if you ever ask us about our character, we'll sit there and tell you about 3.5 hours or more on who we are and what we've done, because that's what our characters are, which makes it fun, except when you don't want to hear it, which then you have to figure out a way to or just tell us, "I got you."
Because we can and will go on for hours.
Oh yes.
But that's the fun part, because there's so much personalization to becoming a steampunk. And like you, tell us a little bit about your character. Do you have one? Should you make a character? Are you going to be coming to our Make a Character panel later? I don't know if it's today or something.
I think that was actually yesterday.
They don't?
Because we had a character creation panel yesterday.
Why do they put the 101 after everything?
I don't know, that's what we got today. There's concept to costume.
Okay, that's
It's
probably.
okay, we can integrate a little bit of it into today.
So you just pretty much can be whatever you want to.
Yeah. Most of us are from the greater world of Texas, where Texas took over everything, and now we're the universe of Texas.
I like that.
And Sam Houston's running. Robo Houston is running for the 22nd time. I'm voting for him.
That's another thing, Brent. We covered a lot of that in our Texas Steampunk panel yesterday, but there are each region has its own steampunk.
So,
and
it all basically matters what your concept was, and if you're building it from one of our worlds, or if you're coming into it with your own idea.
So I think one of the best ways that we can explain it is if we actually divulge a little bit about our characters and help you to understand that we started with nothing. We started with absolutely nothing. I think this was the first piece of gear that I actually equipped. And as you can see, I have much more flourish in my costume now. The costume makes a character because every piece has a story. Now, my name is Abby. Let's be real here, my character is French. I'm not. So I'm going to go ahead and go into this from the get-go. I went into it knowing I wanted to be a Rusalka. Rusalka is a piece of fairy tale lore about a lady in the lake who was drowned by her lover, and my character is down to this skull. This skull is the skull of the person who killed me, who also happens to be Jonathan Swift. I decided to take my story and develop my character around what my story was going to be. How many of you knew that Jonathan Swift was a reverend? So he was actually a pastor, and it was interesting because he wrote a lot of satirical things as well, which I mean everybody who's ever taken an introductory philosophy course has probably read. Oh gosh, what is your name? It's gonna kill me.
Oh, jeez.
Amanda's proposal.
Yeah.
So Amanda's proposal, basically he says, let's kill all the poor people, and specifically starting with their children, because that's how you stop people from growing up to be poor. So some people in the 1800s actually went with that. They thought that it wasn't satire. They thought he was just the most evil man in the universe because how dare you kill children. He was very obviously trying to show how horrible a situation would be if that's what you did if you just got your ball working. Well, in my line of thinking, with a post-apocalyptic world, it would totally make sense for people to decide, that's actually not such a bad idea. And to start following the sect of Christianity that followed Jonathan Swift. So I'm a Swiftian, and I was a 17-year-old girl, and this man who I idol worshipped comes through my town. I fall in love because I'm a dorky little 17-year-old, and we end up, becoming lovers. But he decides he doesn't want me to follow him anymore, and he murders me in a lake. So now my soul has become this thing in this post-apocalyptic world where we have cryptozoology and creatures that don't exist absolutely exist. And so I went with it, and I rolled with it. And every single piece of my gear is part of Lex's story. So I have his skull because my soul is attached to it. If anybody breaks my skull, I'm dead. I have this little bag of skulls here because being that children are starting to become in short supply, I had to find something, so I found these little pygmy marmosets that have actually connected me to a friendship that I have with Captain Argo, who's one of the people who is making leatherworking wheels in the merchant's quarters. So I've made friendships, and I've made my gear link my friendships.
Nice. I'm Epitaph. I basically come from a horror realm, but it's also heavy in steampunk. We actually have an entire region of the map that is like Old West steampunk. So, to basically have a manor, I am known as the one that Jack knows me as is the man who is responsible for the days without breath. I basically get sacrificed up to the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper sees something in me and says, you know what, I'll make you a deal. You beat me in a sword fight, and I'll let you go. It's like, okay, cool, I'm a pretty good swordsman, no problem. So I agreed to the deal. For 365 days, we fight every single day. And each day, the Reaper is like trying to gain an advantage over me, and he's pulling in pieces of himself. Because think about it, in the entire multiverse, death is something that is all-encompassing. He's there for the grandma who's dying and dead, to the one that's getting brutally murdered in the street at that moment. He's everywhere. He is at every single point where someone's dying. So he starts pulling himself in to get an edge on me. And on the 365th day, he pulls the last piece of himself in, and he is whole. So nobody dies. Nothing dies on that day. Come to find out, I actually win. Ish. Because I land the blow on him, and I'm like, I got you. And he's like, yeah, I think you do. And I look down, and he has also stabbed me. So he makes me a deal. He's like, look, here. And if you've ever seen like the real old pictures of the Grim Reaper, not only does he have his side, but he has a sword. And then all of a sudden, at some point in time, the sword stopped. And all the pictures of the Grim Reaper, he just has the side. I have the sword. And it's basically the sword of the right hand of the Reaper. I basically take souls with it and help out the Reaper. In my world, portals are unstable. They'll spin you out random, and you don't want to go, well, this portal looks cool, and walk through it and get spun into a world where the gravity just crushes you. Yes. Whoops. Whoopsie. Yeah, we have like the only stable portal in the realm. All the others are glitchy. So people keep coming to trying to get the portal because whoever controls that portal would like basically rule the world.
And this is part of your radio show, right?
Yeah, it's part of my radio show.
So.
Yeah, we go. I do an online radio show, and we write out the stories. We basically record them, and yeah, we're in there like punching ourselves in the throat, trying to get a vocal out so it sounds good. And then basically you put it all. We write the stories, we record it, we put all the sound effects together, and then broadcast it. We're on a little bit of a hiatus right now.
You're here.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and we do it in like the 1930s style. We have the sound effects. And it's really good because a lot of people who listen to it, they're like, it's great because we put it on and we can listen to it and hear the story and know what's going on. And we're like over here making stuff, or washing dishes. So that makes it really a lot of fun. And then we do cons like this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For me, my name is Nick. My character's name is Vincent Alexander Kane Tarek Whitlock III. And my multiverse or world is also called a layered multiverse. In other words, it's not just one. In fact, it's 6. They all lay on top of each other. And there's originally just 5. They all existed on the same plane of time, but not the same plane of space. And they were all secluded. At the time when, I guess, my story kind of starts around, the universe is not enlightened. In other words, they are not aware that there's anything outside of their own little reality. I changed that, completely on accident. Trying to solve an energy crisis, I accidentally punch a hole very violently into another reality. Where I come from, there is no magic, there's no aether, there's nothing outside science and industry. And now all of a sudden I put a hole where magic and all these strange creatures are seeping into the world. But over time, after a very self-shattering experience of my entire world going, well, magic's real, I end up coming across an artifact, which is currently being played with over here, and I've recreated Pandora's box, in which case, with the traditional legend where it contains hope. Mine contains all possibilities throughout all realities, and as you can imagine, that could be a very bad thing. I, however, have no ability to stop myself from constantly playing with it. So I'm constantly cleaning up my own messes, just barely escaping through the skin of my teeth. But
you should brush more.
Yeah. But I have kind of been forced into a situation because of that. I'm in possession of a highly powerful artifact that has the potential of destroying everything. but I can't be killed or have it taken away from me without the artifact itself dying. In itself, this artifact is alive with its own sentience. Because of that, I was given two choices: be locked away in stasis for the rest of eternity, or become an agent. So, yeah, I chose the obvious.
Stasis.
Yeah.
You know, you should have chosen stasis.
I probably, yeah, I mean, that's...
You can get a better deal from the stasis than the Enigma Man.
Yeah, Colonel Fisk, or I guess he's retired now. But
Yes.
That's why he works for the agency. The agency kind of is like the Men in Black of the multiverse. They're the ones that are patching the holes with the etheric glue that keeps everything from working when he screws up, so you can't fix it all the way. Or the ones that keep this guy over here in check when he starts trying to invade another reality, or the people he works for now. He's the head of
Yes.
the organization, the shadow organization you now work for,
Yes.
and whether you work for them willingly or not, we don't know. That's kind of they're the Men in Black, which keep me on my toes because my character came from Genesis, this planet, and through a problem of my very own, a big explosion shot me through the multiverse into a different reality. And so now I have kind of became myself, but with less ambition. I'm kind of the Indiana Jones that's been pushed out of the light. I'm always looking for rare antiquity. And which gets me into becoming more of a criminal crime lord, but I'm not a villain. So I just have to be that third party.
I know you better.
I don't know. If Fisk is in the right mindset, let's slip.
I really like the Lord of War aspect of my character. I get sat down after being arrested saying, look, in 10 minutes there's going to be a knock at the door, and 15 minutes after that I'll be let go and we'll be given awards and whatnot. And that's what kind of happens with my characters. I'm a necessary character that pushes the plot of whatever that's going on. And
kind of had to use him to save my realities.
See, I'm not always the bad guy, but what you needed was illegal. So, or you needed me to steal something for you, so that's what happens. So, just to kind of give you the example, we've gone through the gambit. We have 5 very different stories up here, or 6 if you count Jim's character, and 7 over here, because this guy actually came up by accident. You want him to talk about yours just for a second?
Oh, my character?
Yeah, your character.
Yes, my character, he is known as the Finance Minister, Trade Minister, or Minister of Coin. I like that title. He comes from the Eureka universe, where it's Venice as far as the eye can see, and our main value is profit. And as for my character, the Finance Minister, he is a bumbling idiot. His strong point, due to his status, is that he's a financial genius. He knows where the money is going, and he can even track where most people see it as a limitation. He just sees it as a mere obstacle to jump over. And that being said, he is eccentric. He's not very good in combat, and people work for both sides, whether it be for Agents of Enigma, or for the outlaw that I see here, or even the theocracy. As long as it needs to raise the value and the reserves of my system, all is well.
And how did you come up with that character?
It's a funny story. Is that I watched. I played Civilization 5, playing Venice, and at the same time I was watching an old BBC series called Hello Alone, to which there was one Italian captain called Captain Bertorelli. So he has like that thick Italian accent, and I try to adopt, and I'm copying him in a way that he does not know how to command soldiers. He is like minor economic financial nerdiness.
Me too.
Fondness for currencies, which I'll show you later after this.
I know, I'm looking forward to seeing your currencies because you've been telling me all
Yes,
about
they're
it.
actually really cool.
But it was really fun because we do a LARP. I believe we're doing a LARP this evening, right?
That's correct, at 9.
9.
And T-Billing's been moved back to 3.
Okay.
We're trying to get better biscuits.
Bit of a
Working on the biscuit problem.
So,
Biscuit problem. It is a serious problem,
Hey,
guys.
tea biscuits are important.
They are.
Like,
Yes.
kingdoms have fallen because of bad biscuits.
yeah, so, and I love the fact that we did the LARP and your character really came alive at the LARP. But you were able to just bring out the massive amount of,
It's interesting.
yeah. And so, that's where a lot of people would come, like we've had characters at the LARPs just spring forth. Like they get the piece of paper and they read it and they're like, and then they play it for that evening, and then they come back next year, and that's their character now. But they've had more past happen to them, so they come in much better developed character.
Character creation, which is absolutely fantastic, and we always love hearing about people's characters because, at least as you saw from the five of us here, every character is different, and we will never tell you, no, that's not right. We're gonna sit there and listen to every rambling story you got.
Especially if you've got good whiskey.
Oh yeah.
You give us good whiskey. Yeah, with vodka. Yeah.
Vodka, whiskey.
Is it weird that you're a vampire and you drink vodka?
No, it's not weird at all.
It somehow fits. It's weirdly fitting.
You've never heard of Bloody Mary?
But true, there is absolutely no way to do steampunk. There isn't. One of the very first ones I went to, there was just a kid running around dressed as a newsie with goggles on, handing out slips of paper that they had written on it, Tesla creates death ray, and it was like, this is cool.
And there may be times you have to start over. I'm in one of those transitioning moments now. My entire gear set got lost, and the only thing I had left from my original outfit was this hat. And so I'm now...
So what you do is you just pop in one time, break a hole through the wall kind of reality check thing, and you just come in, you're wearing a completely different set of clothes, like, I have no time to lose, come on with me, and just run out the door. And you're good. And then your characters come back from something terrible where you've lost everything, and you've survived it. So, my character is not anywhere near it was 7 years. My character's not the same as I was 7 years ago. And I will admit that I saw pictures pop up on Facebook and I'm just going, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
I thought I was cool then too. All right.
but the thing is, to yourself, you're like, oh my god, this is horrid. But everybody else was like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If I wandered into a convention.
One of the things I've always loved about the steampunk community, not only are they very accepting and very warm and very welcoming of your ideas and your opinions, but they'll help you build on your opinions. They'll help you build on your gear, and they'll talk to you about how to make the things that you want to make. Like you say you want to have fluid flowing through your face. Like, let's do this thing. Let's find how to do it, and we'll find the special effects makeup. We'll find the things that we can do to try and help you to improve your story. Because your story helps us build our story, and our story helps build everybody's story. That's the cool thing about steampunk. Everybody can be interlocked. Everybody can. You can have 5 steampunk artists, and it can legitimately work because everybody's a little different. Everybody's story is a little different.
From a slightly different slice of multiverse.
As an example of that, we actually have a friend, Will, who he does the best steampunk Mario I've ever seen. He does one of the best Marios I've ever seen. The guy carries around a work ton of wood, and I'm not even kidding. It's awesome. So he built his Mario character, and then we started doing the steampunk thing, and he's like, this is pretty cool. So he starts making his Western Mario. And he comes to me and he's like, okay, so I have this idea for a story about why Mario is the way that he is. He used to be a plumber, now he's an engineer on a ship. But the reason why he's doing this is because he needs to find those mushrooms. He's a botanist. So he has to go and find all the different types of mushrooms that can help him to develop himself and to really find that good place for himself. So that's what his goal is. And he set that goal by playing the video game. And that's the greatest thing about this. You can legitimately use any story and turn it into your own. Find a way that makes it work for you and be comfortable with how that works.
As an example I have as far as people helping, or community helping each other get props and costuming and whatnot. For the longest time, I was looking for something to represent Pandora's box, something I could just play with endlessly. And this guy over here shows me a link to this little special Rubik's Cube that
I was looking for a Rubik's Cube for her because she beats them all the time. And they're like, I think you'll like this one. Send the link. Boom.
So you pretty much just make it up as you go.
Yeah, without a doubt.
You can walk into Mad Raven's area. They're
Totally come by.
Totally where we are. Okay, item, our little plot in here, but you can really wander in, and their kind of their tagline is, "We can get you fully fit out with a costume, like your beginning costume for like $50 or $60 tops." Like that's pants, shirt, jacket, hat kind of thing, and like a piece of gear at school.
Yeah, because more often than not, I find a lot of people get discouraged from steampunk. They think it's expensive or it's far too time consuming.
Gotta go pop some tags.
This is always my best example. Hat.
Yeah.
One day I just went into my closet and went, I got a vest. That looks cool. You know? and showed up and everybody was like, awesome, you look great.
Yeah.
You know, they're
We
like,
love seeing new people, and like when I see you on the ground, I love your cane. You have a story for your cane yet? I'll ask you about that. You know, it's kind of like I see you build your characters. You come by, like, be like, do you want goggles? Because I know a good vendor here that actually works here that will make you goggles, or have cheap goggles that you might like. Oh, do you want a gun? Do you want this? Do you want this? I'll take you around to people I know that will give you a good deal and that have the right stuff that you may want. And
I
so,
tried to do some research on Steampunk before I got here, so I kind of made up a character.
yeah.
And it's a Texas millionaire during the Depression. And whenever he sees somebody they ask him if he likes, he kills them.
Oh.
I like it. That's it. That's got a good foundation.
It's got a good foundation going on. You're gonna get some
someone.
wonderful stories of people who nearly got you back that didn't, before you got them, or stuff like that. It's gonna be fun for you to build that character.
It's working for you. It looks great.
I
And like I said,
like the millionaire aspect in the Depression and Texas because it's like, oh, you can take that so many places.
So it could be like the beginning of the oil field boom that
Yes.
starts changing away from steam, or you could be like the steam engine mogul who owned the land that the railroad bought. You have so many avenues to begin with. It's so great.
And that's why I found this, and I said it works out pretty well because I can always just.
It's frustrating.
Be happy. Not even the woman who's I consider a semifinalist professional at these things. So.
I'll get it later, but right now I'm gonna let you go with your flat top like one.
But so I mean, are any of you guys interested in starting a character? Do y'all have any ideas? Getting into this, y'all wandered in, just wanted to listen to us ramble.
I've already got mine here.
oh hey,
I like it. I actually own the Meerschlag as well. I was actually looking at your way of mounting it. I love it.
I think it better stay in there. It's just a pressure fit. Oh, nice.
Nice.
I actually made the holster. It uses the ring on the side,
Uh-huh.
the hook.
Oh, that is
Oh,
genius.
genius.
You know,
I want pictures after this.
okay. I've got plans on. Have you ever heard of Wanted Dead or Alive? The Steampunk Queen?
Yes.
That was where this came from.
Okay.
He actually coined the name. There's that.
Oh.
When the first time he shot it on camera, they was facing the camera. They used a full load blank.
Mm-hmm.
He blew the hat off the girl that held the strips. It knocked him on his butt.
Wow.
They picked him up and they said, "How was it?" He says, "Was it as bad as a hog leg?" He says, "No, it was more like a mare's leg. It kicks harder."